Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2620 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. In today's Wisdom Nugget, we'll be exploring Psalms, an ancient prayer of song filled with wisdom, hope, and practical guidance for everyday living. Today we find ourselves in Psalm 64, a profound prayer written by King David during a time when his hidden enemies surrounded him. David faced threats not just from sword and spears, but from the deceptive words and hidden plots. In this psalm, he honestly brings his fears before God, confidently trusting that God's justice ultimately prevails. So let's explore Psalm 64 verses 1 through 10 from the New Living Translation, carefully uncovering the wisdom verse by verse. O God, listen to my complaint. Protect my life from the enemy's threats. Hide me from the plots of the evil mob, from this gang of wrongdoers. They sharpen their tongues like swords. They aim their bitter words like arrows. They shoot from ambush at the innocent, attacking suddenly and fearlessly. They encourage each other to do evil and plan how to set their traps in secret. Who will ever notice, they ask. As they plot their crimes, they say, we have devised a perfect plan. Yes, the human heart and mind are cunning. But God himself will shoot them with his arrows, suddenly striking them down. Their own tongues will ruin them, and all who see them will shake their heads in scorn. Then everyone will be afraid. They will proclaim the mighty acts of God and realize all their amazing things that he does. The godly will rejoice in the Lord and find shelter in him, and those who do what is right will praise him. David begins Psalm 64 with verses 1 and 2 by honestly laying out his fears and frustrations to God. O God, listen to my complaint. Protect my life from my enemies' threats. Hide me from the plots of the evil mob, from the gang of wrongdoers. Notice how David openly speaks to God. He doesn't hide his feelings or pretend everything is okay. Instead, he presents genuine, straightforward pleas. Ancient Israelites deeply understood the power and importance of honest prayer. Complaining here isn't murmuring or grumbling, it's openly sharing deep fears, pains, and injustice directly with God. David's enemies threaten not just physical harm, but emotional and psychological torment through careful orchestrated plots. He describes them vividly as evil mobs and gangs of wrongdoers, indicating organized intentional attacks rather than random threats. Imagine a peaceful community suddenly disrupted by an organized criminal gang secretly plotting harm. Fear and uncertainty would fill the hearts of the community. David similarly experienced hidden threats and pleads for God's protection. Next, David highlights the destructive power of the enemy words in verses 3 and 4. They sharpen their tongues like swords. They aim their bitter words like arrows. They shoot from ambush at the innocent, attacking suddenly and fearlessly. David uses vivid metaphors, sharpened swords, and piercing arrows to show how harmful their words can be. Ancient Israelites recognized words as powerful instruments capable of deep wounds, affecting reputation, trust, and even life itself. David feels vulnerable, ambushed not physically but verbally. Hidden words and secret accusations suddenly strike, causing deep emotional and social pain. Unlike the physical attacks that we anticipate or defended against, words often strike unexpectedly, causing wounds that can last far longer. Think of an arrow shot from a hidden place, unseen until it strikes. Words, similarly launched secretly, can wound deeply, damaging relationships, careers, and personal peace. David continues describing the confidence and secrecy of these plotting against him in verses 5 and 6. They encourage each other to do evil and plan how they can set their traps in secret. Who will ever notice, they ask. As they plot their crimes, they say, we have devised a perfect plan. Yes, the human heart and mind are cunning. David's enemies believe they operate unseen, secure in their secret plans. They encourage each other, confidently thinking that no one sees or understands their hidden schemes. This confidence secretly emboldens their wrongdoing. Yet David highlights the ancient truth well known among the Israelites. The human heart is deeply cunning and capable of deceit. Even well-devised plans eventually become exposed, for nothing remains hidden forever. Imagine a burglar meticulously planning a robbery, believing their schemes are flawless. Yet one overlooked detail or unintentional mistake exposes their entire plot. Human cunning ultimately fails when confronted with divine justice. David now confidently shifts his focus to God's perfect justice in verses 7 and 8. But God himself will shoot them with his arrows, suddenly striking them down. Their own tongues will ruin them, and all who see them will shake their heads in scorn. David contrasts the enemy's hidden arrows with God's own swift, precise justice. God's justice may sometimes feel delayed, yet David assures that when God acts, his judgment strikes decisively. Notice the poetic justice here. Enemies' destructive words, which wounded others, ultimately cause their own ruin. Lies unravel, deceptions rebound, hidden secrets become public disgrace. Picture someone throwing a boomerang intending harm, yet the weapon circles back, striking the thrower. Evil words similarly return destructively upon those who spoke them. David describes a widespread impact of God's justice that finally appears in verse 9. Then everyone will be afraid. They will proclaim the mighty acts of God and realize all the amazing things that He does. When God reveals truth and justice, it inspires awe and reverence. Observers recognize clearly God's sovereignty, righteousness, and power. Ancient Israel deeply valued proclaiming God's mighty deeds, seeing God's justice as an essential for moral order. David knows clearly when God acts, people will openly acknowledge His powerful hand. Think of a courtroom observer when justice prevails unexpectedly. They often leave telling others what happened, awed by fairness finally displayed. Similarly, God's acts inspires testimonies, awe, and reverent fear. And David concludes Psalm 64 confidently and joyfully in verse 10. The godly will rejoice in the Lord and find shelter in Him, and those who do what is right will praise Him. David closes with confident praise and joyful trust. Notice the shift from anxious plea to confident rejoicing, securing God's protective care. David emphasizes God as a shelter, a refuge, a place of safety for those committed to righteousness and integrity. For the ancient Israelite, praising God wasn't merely an emotional response, it reaffirmed faith, strengthened trust, and solidified community bonds. The godly find comfort knowing God sees, protects, and delivers justice faithfully. Consider travelers caught up in an unexpected storm, quickly seeking shelter beneath a sturdy pavilion. Once safely protected, their fears dissolve into relief and gratitude. Similarly, David describes the godly finding secure shelter in God's amidst life's storms. Psalm 64 teaches us valuable truths: honesty before God about our fears, careful recognition of words' power, trusting God's perfect justice, and confidently praising Him in our secure shelter. Like David, we can openly share our fears with God, knowing that He clearly sees all hidden things, faithfully delivering justice and protection. Whatever hidden threats, fears, or uncertainties confront you today, confidently trust in God's protective shelter and ultimate justice. Pour your heart openly to Him, assured that His perfect wisdom guides and guards your path. And thanks for joining me today on our Wisdom Trek. Until we meet again, may God's wisdom guide each step you take, and may His peace guard your heart always. And if you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us and come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, and most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.